YouTube Nation, Mayvent TV, aka me TV, aka the head of state. Look, I understand that you guys are and girls already see the title. You know it's going to get serious today. I just want to say real quick, thank you guys for sending me the videos, and thank you for sending me all this information on this issue, because what I've seen as late, what you people have sent me, very disrespectful about violence in video games and the video game industry. And I put it like this: with the media, as you know, they always try to bag on the industry. But here's the problem. The industry isn't trying to prove them wrong either. And I have a problem with this. And when I mean industry, I mean from the people who make these games all the way down to the people who play these games as well, to the gamers. They show such a sign of immaturity that it's ridiculous. And things need to be cleaned up. So let's get into this today. This is going to be a touchy subject. We're going to start off right now, okay? First off, violent video games change in public opinion. Ever since the shooting, as we know what happened in Sandy Hook, everyone is now on the violent video game train, needs to be banned. We know this, all right? But that's not all. Because of all this hysteria that the media has caused, now the president, that's right, is asking Congress to commission a violent video game study. There's a problem with that. First off, it's wrong. All right, I understand that the president needs to do something. I feel it's a knee-jerk reaction because, as we all know, video games are not the culprit here, okay? But I understand he has to do something to, to pretty much shut those people up. He has to. However, I feel this is a waste of taxpayer dollars, all right? And I feel it's very unfocused. And both sides, if you ask me, at this point, are very unfocused on what the real problem is. So I just want to say that, with all this hysteria being, pretty much being caused by the media, they're creating this witch hunt. It's ridiculous. It is. And I want to talk about this a little bit because, as you know, you guys have sent me, this video. And for those guys and girls who have not seen this video, check out what the ladies of The View had to say.
Tragedy in Sandy Hook has made gun control laws the hottest topic in America right now. President Obama says it's a top priority. Prominent gun rights advocates in Congress are even calling for a national discussion. Where do you guys stand on it? I mean, for me, to me, you have to sort of isolate it to one thing. And I sort of feel like you can't justify owning an assault rifle. I mean, it's a weapon of mass destruction. It is not, but you can't hunt with it because it destroys everything that right. You point at it. It's not something to guard your house because you end up taking all the plaster down. There's no excuse for anyone to own one.
As you can see, they start off with a healthy gun debate. However, once it starts going further, they start bringing video games into the equation, saying that it's the culture that's changed and that video games are the problem, which we all know are not the problem. People just don't start killing all of a sudden because video games are violent.
I agree with you, Elizabeth. I know Dr. Wallner or Chris Como was saying about our culture and these video games. And they have these video games that are bestsellers. They've made 2, 3, 4 of them where you get points for killing cops. You get points for shooting just regular people. And I go, we got to do something. When you go, what can each of us do with these video games that are being sold?
Because Adam Lanza evidently spent hours playing the game Call of Duty. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay, Call of Duty is controversial because I was just heard about it. In the game, you're shooting enemy soldiers. You're not shooting civilians. Right. But he loved this game, and he loved the shooting of.
Now, wait a minute. Now you're blaming Call of Duty. So before, it was Mass Effect, which I did a video on this before. And then it was Dynasty Warriors. Now you're blaming Call of Duty. Stop this. Stop. Obviously, you are looking for a reason to blame video games, and you cannot peg down what it actually is. If you think about it, if you look at these shootings that have happened, because it has nothing to do with video games, the Batman shootings, they tried to blame Batman. What did they do with the Batman shootings? They started telling people they can't dress up in costume when they go to the premieres, right? Okay, so then you had, the Oregon shootings, right? Then you had Sandy Hook. Now, just earlier this week, you had, in Houston, there was a mass shooting. We've never seen so many mass shootings in X amount of months. Obviously, somebody is trying to send a message. This has nothing to do with video games. Nothing. But yet, still being blamed. We're still being called killers. We're still, it gets worse. It gets worse. But I want to talk about this because every time something like this happens, this hysteria happens, now violent video games have been pulled from rest stops in Massachusetts. Stop this. Stop. You are going way too far. The focus is not there on what you're trying to aim at. It's like blindly shooting at a target at this point. And I want to talk about shooting a little bit in a minute, all right? But here's some of the positives that gaming has done since, the Sandy Hook shooting. Because for those who know, there were a lot of charities that were going on for Sandy Hook when it happened from gamers, and yet it got no press coverage. We saw kids come out, and I think their parents actually forced them, come out and say, oh, we're going to burn all our video games, and we're like, what's the point of it? It's not going to bring back, you know, those that are deceased, right? Okay, and then you have people, over Sandy Hook, they round up all these video games and they were going to burn them and destroy them. So you're going to pay for all these games and collect them, and then you're going to destroy them. Where does that get you? Nowhere, because actually you're paying the companies all that money. That's what you're doing, all right? And then at the end of it all, they didn't end up destroying the video games. So what was the point? You bought a bunch of games, and now what are you going to do with them? But that's not all. Gamers, that's right. Gamers have raised over $400K in just a week and donated to the Prevent Cancer Foundation charity. That's right. So link will be in the info bar for that as well, all right? And the Twitch TV where you can actually watch it. Also, Umloud event raises $42K for Child's Play charity. You know, for people who are playing video games and are labeled killers, they sure are doing a hell of a lot, aren't they? Okay, that's not all. Remember when we sat here and we talked about the NRA, and we all know that the NRA tried to blame video games for all the shootings, right? Okay, it was a cop-out. We know that. It was a scapegoat. But here's the thing. The NRA came out afterwards and came out with their own app, a video game app about guns. That's right. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people try to discuss that the fact is always trying to teach you gun safety and you're just shooting targets and not people. Understand, it's still a video game. You're blaming the very same industry that you're trying to get in. Where have we seen this before? That's right. Jack Thompson, who also tried to blame violence in video games and then tried to make his own video game afterwards, and it didn't go well. The same thing with the NRA. But here's the scary part about the NRA, all right? Because their game was up to 4, ages 4 and up. That's right. Their game was catered to 4-year-olds. 4-year-olds. Now, like a lot of you gamers that sell on the fan page, when we were 4 years old, we were jumping on turtles. We were hitting bricks with our head. You know what I mean? We didn't have gun simulations, because that's what it is. I don't care if it's teaching you how to be safe or not. 4-year-olds do not need to know how to handle guns. And because that happened, all right, a lot of backlash came from the NRA, and Apple actually decided to raise the age limit. So now you have to be 12 years old and up. Now, even at 12 years old, I still think that's a bit much, if you ask me. It really is. But let's keep going, because the hysteria is getting thick. That's right. State lawmaker wants to tax violent video games. Now, look, this isn't the first time that this has happened, all right? And it sure won't be the last. But, however, this is absolute joke. You're just looking to make money off of violent video games. That's what you're doing. Taxing violent video games does not solve anything. It doesn't bring people back. It's not going to stop violence. This is just you trying to make do off of it. That's what it is. We should just get more money off of it. And that's wrong, because money doesn't equate to happiness all the time. We know this, okay? But that's not all. One of you gamers sent me this. Apparently, video games are now causing cancer. Are you serious? And this is what you said. You said, hello, I'm sorry to disturb you. It's just that video games are being attacked once more. And you're right. It does get tiring of all the negativity that you can become numb to it in time. It says the new accusation is that video games can cause cancer now. That personally is ridiculous, because I believe we have played video games for many years now. I know in your videos you've never reported that you have been ill to a point of having cancer, nor my personal health has been reported from a doctor. Even the professional doctors find no connection to that accusation as well. It says, what makes this truly sad is that this man who stated this accusation towards games is supposed to be a professional journalist. So let's get something straight. First off, cancer is not something you joke about. Cancer is something that you do not just throw around and say a person has, or that it's the cause. You don't do that. Cancer is a worldwide problem that we have not found a cure to. It is horrible. I know people who have died from it. I'm sure there are many people who have been affected by cancer. It is horrible for a journalist, a professional journalist, to come out and make these type of accusations without any proof, especially when doctors, professionals, cannot find a link. When you have accusations like this, and I put it like this, these are not just accusations at this point. This is slander. It's defamation of character. That's what it is, all right? When it comes to the video game industry. However, the video game industry is not stepping up and defending it. However, I will say this, okay? when it comes to things like this, and journalists make these type of accusations without any proof, they deserve to be reprimanded. They deserve to be fired. It seems like that's the problem today. All right, regardless of what entertainment medium. All right, video games, comic books, sports, anything that you like. It seems that these people can just say whatever the hell they want, and all of a sudden, it's okay. It's not a freedom of speech. There is a fine line. Of course, on YouTube, we can say whatever we want to each other and curse each other out, but we are not in the business. When you are in the business, this can lead to lawsuits. This can lead to you being terminated. There is a difference. People have become soft. That's what it is. The companies have become soft, if you ask me. All right? But we're going to keep going because I want to show you guys something. We're going to talk about this because, you know, you're accusing people of cancer, and it's a nasty thing to do. A gamer sent me a video. Not too long ago, he had asked me, about a month ago or so, he asked me, you know, he wanted to get together a charity, and he didn't know how to go about it. And I talked to him about it, you know, via message. His mother has breast cancer, okay? And he made the charity, and, you know, he did a video exactly on this. And I want to talk about this because this is what you're getting. This is raw reaction, all right? At the charity, the mother sat in front of the camera and saw these gamers wish her luck, wish her they donated. And here's the thing, and this guy put like this, his son loves his mother. I don't think, and this is what a man does, okay? When something happens, it's a call to action to, you know, shield your loved ones. That's what he did. Now, mind you, this video is all in Spanish, okay? However, you will see, just watch the reaction of the mother when she is talking to gamers.
Ok, ahora le voy a presentar a mi Mike con el sobrecito de donaciones que se recaudaron ayer en el evento Gaming Zone de Fight for Extra Life. Vamos a ver su reacción. Ok, te voy a poner aquí la laptop más. Mira, ayer yo estaba haciendo un evento para recaudar dinero, un evento de videojuegos para recaudar dinero. No, esto fue lo que se recaudó ayer. Estoy bueno. dire.
Gracias a todos por su ayuda, por su apoyo. Y esto no es acerca de dinero, esto es acerca de ayudar al prójimo y de tener esta caridad humana acerca del dolor. Esto es un proceso, pero yo soy una guerrera. Gracias y Dios los bendiga mucho.
Complete strangers lending a hand to help somebody. These are gamers playing a game to donate to help someone they don't know. What does that tell you? Gamers are willing to help. They are good. For you to sit here and call us killers because we play video games is absolutely horrible. It's despicable. It's disrespectful. Don't sit here and tell me what these people went and did to help someone that they don't know, went out of their way. Don't tell me that they're killers. It's bringing us together. That's what a community has always done. At least when I was growing up and played video games, that's what it did. These days, talk to someone else, they'll tell you differently. They will. But that's not all. If you want to see the full video, because I have the full video in here, in the link in the info bar for you guys. Also, the breast cancer donation page. Okay? Also, I want to talk about this because if you want to see the reactions, what she saw from what gamers were saying, the full video is in the info bar for you so you can see both sides of what actually happened. Okay? But I want to move on. Because EVO 2013, Virtua Fighter 5 charity will be supporting breast cancer research. Do you understand that? Gamers are still doing it the way that they know how. And yet, we are still being thrown under the bus. Yet, there's no coverage. Only within our small community. It's not massive. The media doesn't want you to hear this. They don't want to tell the parents this. And that's the problem. But we're going to keep going because the video game industry comes out unscathed from a White House meeting. For those who do not understand, Joe Biden came out and wanted to meet with the video game industry and these companies about violent video games. Okay? Now, first off, I'd say right now, Vice President Biden, you went the wrong way about it. All right? These companies don't care. They don't care. If you did not request them to show up, they wouldn't have shown up. They wouldn't have said anything. That's the problem, all right? But gamers, that's right, link in the info bar. Gamers stepped up for this industry. That's right. All they did was argue and defend, and they made great points, just like yours truly and others who have done other videos as well on YouTube or wherever. And they voiced their opinion on a forum or whatever the case may be. But the industry's not doing that. No, they're going to keep silent. So I have to ask before I go any further, all you fanboys, how does it feel to defend companies, to defend developers, and they are nowhere to be found when it comes to things like this? When you are personally attacked by a media where millions watch TV, when you are personally attacked, where are they to defend you? I want to bring this up, all right, because I have to bring up one to me. That's right, yeah, I have to, okay? Because when something like this happened, to me, he ran with his tail between his legs. He wasn't there for you, was he? No. And when Devil May Cry was getting ready to hit, what happened? He came back, and what was the first thing he did? He bragged about scores. Wasn't anything about how the industry is. Wasn't anything about how the media is treating people. Because if you think I'm being bad on Tamim now, you can wait till later. But I put it like this. At the end of it all, whether I like Devil May Cry or not, I will defend violent video games. It is still his right to make a violent video game. But it seems like people don't understand that. It also seems like these guys have no backbone. They want all the accolades of being a rock star, but they don't want to defend you when the time comes. But you'll defend them every day of the week, whether it's outside talking to somebody you know, or out, or on the internet, arguing on forums or on YouTube. You'll defend them to the end, but they don't care about you. And you know that. Deep down, you know that. But I want to move on. Because, like I said, gamers have defended this industry quite well. Joe Biden, at the end, all right, of this, apparently this meeting with the industry, he told the video game industry to clean their act up. He asked them to clean their act up. Now, first off, Mr. Biden, Vice President Biden, the video game industry is not going to clean their act up. As we have seen as of late, they will not do such a thing. And we know this. When you ask that, you know what they did? This is what they did. Oh, sure, we'll clean her act up. And as soon as you walk out the room, can you believe this guy? We're not going through it. Are you crazy? That's what they're doing. They don't care. And whatever controversy is around, they will try to sell it and use it as an advertising tool to sell their product to you gamers.
I think it'll make a person become insane.
This game is an atrocity.
It's revolting. It's violent. It's everything you love in a game. And your mom's gonna hate it.
Why would they even make something like this?
But that's not all. No, now we're going to get into something serious because, for those who don't know, since we're already on this, talk about maturity and the vice president asking the industry, and when I mean the industry, that means not just the makers, that means the gaming journalists all the way down to us gamers. That's what it means. Clean our act up. And here's the thing. As soon as that happens, this article comes out about Devil May Cry fans are a crying shame from VG247.com. It is a classless article. It is. And this is another thing where you're generalizing groups. And who is still making articles about hair on Dante? Who's still doing this? All right? It's an absolute joke that somebody who's supposed to be a gaming journalist is allowed to make something like this. And that, somebody would greenlight this to go out. You understand, you picked the wrong time to make something like this, especially when we are under attack. And I say we, because we are all in this together. And all you do is spew your hate and try to keep causing the divide because you want hits. That's what it comes down to. It's trolling. And if you don't believe me, this is what the author of the actual article, this is what they said on Twitter. This type of mentality has to stop. It may be funny to some say, oh, this is funny, it's trolling. It has to stop. This is not about fun at this point. I told you, you have a responsibility. People are watching you. And this is how you conduct yourselves? Really? Because I put it like this. If I saw you in the real world and I knew about this article, I would curse you the hell out. Because you have a responsibility. But you don't care about that, do you? No. As far as I'm concerned, you should be fired too. You should be fired. That is ridiculous to anyone. And it doesn't stop there. No. This is more about DLC. Because some genius, decides to write about Devil May Cry fans. They made a petition for President Obama to pull DMC off the shelves. Okay? Now, first off, I will say gamers, and this is what I mean. Gamers, you're letting your fandom get to you. There is no reason you should be sending the president a petition like this. However, I will say, with these tools, you can send the president a petition about other things in the industry that are wrong. Why would you focus on this? That is ridiculous. The sales already say, well enough what's wrong with the game. However, I will say that you could have used this focus on all these other problems in the industry. DLC. The way they do lock DLC, I should say, also as well. Always online, DRM. I mean, there's a thousand things that are wrong with the industry right now. All right? And developers being held accountable as well. But you didn't do that. You had a great opportunity to do something and use this for what it should be, and you didn't. All because you want to be mad at the game that's on a shelf. Who cares? If the game sucks or you don't like the game, don't buy it. But you don't send a petition about something like this. You don't. It's wrong. And I'll put it like this. That's just from the gamer standpoint. From the journalist standpoint, he calls you entitled fans. Really. Let's get something straight here. And I want to talk about entitlement for a minute. First off, you are absolutely wrong because of the context you're using it. You're using it as a negative. All right? Fans are allowed to complain. Consumers are allowed to complain. But this has to stop. The name calling will not win debates. You understand that? It's horrible. But I will put it like this. If we're going to use these petitions for something, hey, you can petition right now for this guy to be fired. How about that? How about that? Like I said, it fans the flames for no reason. It's wrong. Both sides are wrong. The person who wrote the article is wrong for doing it, and the people who made that petition is wrong. I put it like this: were they entitled fans when the Star Wars fans got together and petitioned the White House to make a Death Star in space? Were they entitled? I didn't see anyone say they were entitled. No, it's only here. And I want to talk about this a little bit more, because why is it that when you're a gun owner or you have a hobby when it comes to collecting guns or whatever, you're an enthusiast? But if you decide, you know, if you want to collect games, you're a nerd, you're a dork, you know, you're socially inept, you're all these things, you're entitled. I mean, you're all these names. Why is it that it matters what the product is if you're still a fan of it? It makes no sense. They're putting you in labels. Understand you are being played. You're being hustled. That's what it comes down to. This is ridiculous. But that's not all. Fans, you've done this again. Gamers, I should say. Gamers. You've done this again because for those who know Athene wins, you know how he's done a lot of charities and it helps people. Apparently he's being trolled and now he's talking about possibly quitting League of Legends. This is ridiculous. Why is this guy going through this? And I want to show you the picture where people actually said that they don't care that his stream actually helps people in the real world. Now look, I understand that a lot of people don't like Athene, all right? Or I remember the video he did where he had that guy with the shirt off with the gun and tried to make himself look tough. He looked like a douchebag, actually. Yeah, I don't care about that, all right? But understand, because you're playing yourself when you do something like that on camera. But understand that what he does, his charities, they're helping people. And I will defend that to the end because it actually does something. It actually helps the community. It actually, you know, records a positive light of something that gamers have done. I'm all for that. So I wouldn't give that guy any flack unless he really came out and disrespected somebody, which it doesn't seem he's done. League of Legends players, you have to relax. There is no reason for that. Gamers in general, there's no reason for you to overreact to things like this. It's not called for. I'll tell you, before gamers used to really care about each other. And it seems like now the thing is to do is act like you're in junior high school, junior high, and just, you know, just curse each other out and think that it's cool. That's not the way you handle things. And you won't be, you know, pretty much, you won't be respected and you won't be taken seriously if you keep doing that. And that's the sad part, because when the people who don't like video games, when they see stuff like that, yeah, that's where they generalize all of us. You have to understand every incident that happens affects all of us in the gaming community. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. All right? You're going to have incidents, but it's the way you handle them as well. It's the way that you police your own. That's what it comes down to. And I want to talk about policing your own, because now I really have to talk about the industry again. Remember, before all this shooting that was happening, we saw EA try to sell guns with Medal of Honor in the gun industry. Did we not? I did a video on this, a couple months ago, and they tried to do it, and fans had a problem with it, and they stopped it. Did they not? Well, here it is. Microsoft is banning Halo-branded bullets. That's right. Bullets, actual bullets that have the Halo name on them. Now, Microsoft is banning these because they didn't have permission to do this type of thing. Didn't have permission. So that's the only reason it's being banned. That's it. That's the only reason it's being banned. You understand what that means? That means that they threw enough money at Microsoft, and I don't want to hear people come to Microsoft's defense and say, "Oh no, they would. It's a matter of principle." When's the last time Microsoft had some principle? You want to talk about the Kinect and how it spies on you? Do we really need to get into this? Stop. The fact is, they banned it because they weren't getting paid. They didn't have authorization to use it. But it goes to show you the gun industries are moving into our territory, and you have to stop it now before it gets worse. But it seems like no one cares. Ralph Nader, gotta talk about this, this is what really prompted me to do this video. Between the douchebag who decided, all right, that games cause cancer, and Ralph Nader comes out and says that video game firms are electronic child molesters. Molestation is no joke. And that's, once again, just like cancer. You don't throw that around. You don't. These are supposed to be respectful people in the industry. These are people who know people higher ups. These are people who think they can say whatever the hell they want and there will be no repercussions. Because the people, mind you, they are for the people, by the people. But they feel the people have no power. so they can do whatever they want and act reckless and get drunk with power. That's what it comes down to. This is real talk today. But understand, that's what's going on. And it's interesting that he would come out with that, because we all know he's all wrong for saying that. It's absolutely ridiculous to put it in that aspect, all right? But since you think, you know, video game firms are child molesters, and once again, the video game industry is not going to say anything, but understand that violent video games have contributed to dropping crime rates. Yeah, link is in the info bar. You want to ban violent video games, but contributes to dropping crime rates. How does that work? I want answers. I want to know, for all these guys who come out and run their mouths, because you know it's just the flavor of the month thing, it's the trend thing to do. If everyone else is saying it's video games, well, I might as well jump on the, on the train as well. That's what it comes down to. Jump on the wagon. But I want some answers. It's ridiculous. But like I said, violent video games contribute to the dropping crime rate. And here's the thing, if video games can't save people, why is it that at a Pennsylvania home invasion, a person got help over their Xbox Live headset? I want to know this. Link will be in the info bar. Everything I'm telling you today will be in the info bar. I want to know. I want these answers. I want this stuff answered. Because this is stuff that you're not hearing about. It's ridiculous. But that's not all. So apparently video game firms are child molesters. People who play games are killers. Really. So is that why an 86-year-old woman to this day still plays violent video games?
With age comes experience. In this case, video game experience. Hilda Knott will be celebrating her 86th birthday next month. She's been playing video games for 40 years. Hilda, who also plays puzzles on her iPad, now enjoys games that are less fast-paced. But don't be fooled. After some serious playing time over the years, she's still got game.
So I guess she's a killer too, huh? I guess she's just got heads stored in her closet somewhere. I guess that the people that she bought the game from, tried to rape her and molest her in her childhood through all these years of playing games. Huh. Stop it. You are reaching, and it's horrible, and I put it like this. Until you have some concrete proof, stop talking about it. It is ridiculous. You have nothing in your backing that says this is the problem, but you think you scream it to the high hills and then enough people listen that it must be true. That's wrong. And you know that's wrong. And I want to talk about this, parents. There's a nice little article for you in the info bar about parents, ratings, and lack of common sense, because that is the real issue when it comes to violent video games. That's right. And also there's an article about, should video games offer less violent experiences? No. There are a ton of games out there that aren't violent. Throughout how many years? And yet, you don't talk about those. We don't have advertising for those, do we? No. Why do you think so many games from this point, from years ago, are still being played? Why is Mario still popular? I guess you're going to say that's violent too. Why are puzzle games still popular? You're just going to say that's violent too. You have to be kidding me. Stop this. I put it like this. There's no reason why you should offer less violent video games. There is enough. There's enough for every genre. Granted, the big companies have tried to jump into, the Call of Duty factor, and we all know this about how many sales they have, so let's try to emulate that. I understand that. That's what they're trying to do. But we have seen within the number of years, we've seen non-video gamers come into our culture and try to take over or dictate how things should go, whether it's from shareholders to gaming journalists. We've seen this, and it's ridiculous. And you can spot them, you can smell them a mile away if they haven't played a game. You can smell it. You notice and I notice. You have to start using your instincts if you haven't noticed it. It's really that simple. But if we're going to talk about non-violent video games, and that we should offer more, and I'll put it like this. You want one? Here's one. Here's a nice little report for you. Dance Dance Revolution in schools allows up to 48 kids to exercise at one time. So, what about that video games, causing kids to be obese? I guess that's knocked out the park now, huh? Understand these things need to be moved. And I put it like this. Michelle Obama, here you go. You said that you wanted kids to get out more, and I understand you want kids to get out more. That's fine. All right, and play more and be more physical so they're not sitting around playing video games. But now you have the hybrid. You got games and you have kids being physical. It's been like this for years, though. DDR was big a long time ago. All right, now you got Just Dance, whatever. The fact is, video games are helping. Technology is going to keep evolving. This is what happens. It's just the way you incorporate it. That's all it is. I've shown you videos before, people, of how it's helped people with disabilities and helped people with blindness and military vets that come back from war. We've seen this time and time again, and yet nobody gives it the credit it deserves. Nobody. Tired of this. People, understand it's time to make a move. And I'm challenging every one of you, not fans. No, I'm not talking about you fans or gamers, whatever. I'm talking about the gaming journalists. I'm talking about the real journalists. And I'm talking about Congress. I'm talking about your legislators. I'm talking about the president. You know, because as we all know, the president used video games as well. I've done a video on this before. He used video games for his campaign with Burnout when he had his pretty much his campaigns on billboards. So I'm not trying to hear that video games are the problem. That's horrible. Anyways, I'm done. People, be careful of what's going on, what's around you, and realize who is around you. You always surround yourself with good people. That's what you do. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. Don't let these people shake you. I'm out.